With the real estate example, I will say there are some asterisks there. When you get to 50 units, that's a different ballgame, right? When I use these examples, this is the average person who's saving up and they want one rental property, 2, 3. When you get to 50, it creates a massive leverage opportunity. I'm not going to get into that, but there's tax advantages, there's leverage. But the point is to get to that point is it's very capital intensive. And if you are someone who has millions of dollars laying around, you have business opportunity, your parents have a business, yeah, I don't know if Primerica is the one you want to get into, right? For me and him and many other people, we didn't have that opportunity, so this is the best business I've ever seen that doesn't require any capital. And the end result, the value you can build in your business, I just haven't seen that outside of Primerica. I have a lot of business experience. I've made a choice where all my friends are entrepreneurs. So I'm friends with all business owners. I've analyzed businesses. People come to me because they know I have money. They pitch businesses to me. So I'm in the business community. I don't see anything like this. So there's a reason why I'm still here after 20 years, guys. So I'm gonna wrap up this meeting with the stock market. And I don't do this often because it just doesn't apply to enough people. You guys, the majority of people in here do not have a large book of business. You guys are in the process of building that as RVPs and regional leaders that have been around for a while. That's the one thing you can't really speed up. You have to build your experience in the investment world, and you have to be here long enough to gain trust with people, and that's how you can amass a very large book of business, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million, whatever it is. So I don't want to get into the weeds with investments, but once in a while I do want to talk about it because I got a lot of texts on Monday when the market dropped from advisors, and I want to show you what I said, how I commented, how I dealt with it. I actually had a couple meetings with clients, what kinds of things I went over, and I want to give you guys the confidence that the types of things we teach are the right things, okay? So Thomas, let's go to the slideshow first, and let me go through a couple of things here. So. And by the way, for those of you guys who asked me, hey, my client said this, and I literally forwarded you what I said, you can just forward that to them. Really high-end financial firms, they have really talented salespeople and financial advisors, but the market notes are not created by the actual brokers. They have a chief investment officer, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, and what they do is they pass that note from the chief investment officer to the client. So it's not even coming from the advisor. You don't have to know everything. It can come from me. You can say, this is what my broker said in a meeting today, or whatever you want. So on Monday, there was a huge drop in the market, okay? And I want to go over a couple of general things when it comes to the market that people may not know. It makes sense to be permanently optimistic about the market because statistically the market goes up 77% of the time. So it doesn't make sense. You meet a lot of people that are permanently pessimistic, and it's like, dude, you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna be right one day, but you're gonna be wrong a lot. It's better just to be optimistic, especially if you're a long-term investor, which really is the only way to make money unless you're trying to get lucky. The rate of wealth accumulation we've experienced post-pandemic dwarfs the rate of cost increases we've had to endure concurrently. So people who complain about inflation, it's like for people who actually own stocks and are in the market, your money has grown so much that the rate of inflation is not affecting you as much as people complain about. What meeting was that? Was that last Saturday or was it on Monday where I went over that conversation I had? It was Monday, right? Where someone was complaining about the economy, and I'll just kind of summarize that. They were like, this is the worst economy. And then I went through a series of questions with them, and they said that their 401k was up, they have a job, and they have a business. The business was thriving. Their employees were getting paid more than ever. Their home was up. They're in a 2% mortgage. It's like, dude, what are you complaining about? Everything is up. But people subscribe to these negative, ideas, and then they kind of run with it, and they choose to be unhappy, right? So let's look at this. The Dow Jones, which is, how would you describe the Dow, Richard?
It's a market index.
It's a market index comprised of what?
30 companies.
30 companies that are representative of
large industries.
Yes, large industry. So there's representation from every single industry. And depending on how that index performs, it tells us something about the American economy. So you don't invest directly in it, but it is there. Now some people, like most people, like S&P 500 as a better indicator, but the Dow is the Dow, right? It's been around for a long time. So the Dow passed 20,000, so that's kind of like the value of the market. It passed 20,000 for the first time in 2017. That was a double from 1999. So it took 18 years for the market to double from 99 to 2017. But it went to 40,000 in 7 years after that, which is this year, right? So think about that. It took 18 years for the market to double, then it took 7 years. What if now it only takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? That's why people must figure out a way to get into the markets. The problem with a lot of our clients, other than the fact that they're being talked into using insurance policies as investments, it's just in general they don't have enough exposure to the markets. No salary is going to help you get rich. You have to be investing in your, if that's the only option, company stock and 401k, you got to get in the market. That's what we're doing for our clients. $500 a month, $1,000 a month, rolling over their 401ks, getting them out of the bank and money markets, educating them about the market and how it works. In the last 5 years, 5 days have contributed to 4% annually. That means in the last 5 years, if there were 5 days that you were not in the market, you missed out on 4% of the return. So here's what happens. Here's an example. On Monday, market goes down, right? Let's say it was a minus 3% on Monday. That was the largest drop since X date, whatever they said, right? Pandemic, whatever. This is the biggest drop. On Wednesday, it was the largest gain. The largest drop and the largest gain were in the same week.
Yeah.
So now what people did, and you know they did it, Rod, you know they did it. The people at work, the people who watch the news, the people who have bad advisors, the people who have no advisors, they switched from they switched their accounts into cash and then they missed the recovery.
Exactly.
Now, I was getting text messages. I was available to my clients. I met with my clients. I talked them all off the ledge. And funny, I didn't get any thank yous at the end of the week. Right? When they all made their money back and actually ended up. Because that's how it works. They're going to call you when they're alarmed, and they're going to, right? And then if the money goes up, you're just doing your job. And that's fine. I do my job well, and that's why my clients don't leave me, okay? This is why you don't get the calls, though. Because progress is gradual. You get that 8% a year, 9% a year, 10% a year. Medicube, they're not like, oh, I made $100 today. Thanks, Samir. Now it's 12. They're not thinking like that.
Right.
But that one day where they lose 2-3%, or they got into my investment, like that $1 million client, she's down like 6-7% right now, and off $1 million, that's a lot of money. They remember those days because the bad news is an event. Hey, remember that day when the market went down, right? When COVID, when the market went down 10% in a day? One day? But gradually, everybody's been making money, okay? So, here's what I wrote. I wrote that Monday was a confluence of several events. So the week before that Monday, the Fed announced that they didn't want to cut rates yet. The Fed is this is just so you guys understand a little bit about how the world works. It's not that you're going to go run home and tell your clients all this stuff, right? But the Federal Reserve is scared that inflation is going to come back because the economy is really not that bad. So they said, we're going to wait one more month. The market wanted, we personify the market like it's a person, right? The market wanted that Fed rate cut now, and they didn't get the Fed rate cut. So people were not happy about that. Because people position their investments for certain things to happen, right? Maybe if the Fed cuts the rate, we're going to invest in smaller companies, because smaller companies respond to rate cuts. And so we made that move, and then when the Fed said, no, we're not going to, then you have to change it. That people are very reactive. And not people, institutions. Geopolitics. So the weekend before that Monday, what was happening? They were talking about Israel. Yeah, I just see this stuff on my Twitter feed, right? You see Israel might attack Iran, Iran might attack Israel, whatever else is going on. They're always talking about China and Taiwan. That's geopolitics, right? And then you have recession fears. So certain consumer-related companies were saying, we're seeing a slowdown, like McDonald's was saying that, Starbucks was saying that. So people start thinking, man, if the consumer's weakening, if they don't have a lot of money, if they're not spending, then maybe we're gonna go into a recession. So that could have caused the market to go down. And then the big news over the weekend was that Warren Buffett sold half of his Apple stake. If you don't know, Warren Buffett runs Berkshire Hathaway. He's the best investor in history. But he's not diversified. His entire company, 50% of the returns of his entire company are from one stock, which is Apple. And he's done phenomenally investing that way. So what he did was, back in June, he cut half his stake. People are finding out now. So they're speculating. They're saying, well, maybe he sold because he wants to be in cash, so when the market goes down, then he invests. But that's just speculation. He's also 93 years old. People are thinking that he's creating a succession plan for the new CEO to get a bunch of cash, not be in one position, have his own philosophy. There's many different things. So this is, and then the jobs report. What's happening with the jobs? Unemployment was historically low for a very long period of time. It's not high, but it's ticking up. And you may know this anecdotally, which means in your own life. You may hear that people are having a harder time finding a job, especially white-collar jobs, right? So all of these things were going on, and then what happened was, so the normal person hears all this stuff on the news, but the real reason why the market went down on Monday, which the average person is not going to know, is the unwind of the yen trade. So the yen is the Japanese currency, and what hedge funds were doing and institutional investors, not normal people, they had hundreds of billions of dollars where they were using an arbitrage strategy where the Japanese yen and the central bank in Japan were lending. You could buy the yen, you could borrow the yen at 0%. So if you could borrow money at 0%, what they were doing is they were investing in Japan and then taking that money and putting it in US tech stocks. So it was an amazing arbitrage because you could borrow money at 0 and then you could invest it in high growth, like NVIDIA and Facebook and Amazon and Google and all of that. Well, they had been doing this for years, and then Japan, the country, I know this is all boring, but some of you guys are interested, right?
Yep.
Japan announced we are going to have a 0.25% rate increase. Now that makes that trade not as attractive because now we're borrowing money at a higher rate, and guess what tech stocks are doing? They're going down because our Federal Reserve, right, decided not to cut. And so the trade wasn't working, so what they had to do is they had to sell all of the assets that they had invested in to pay back the loan. This is happening at a rate of hundreds of billions of dollars. It's called an unwind. So the stocks, so think about it like this. The stock market, the real people controlling the stock market, when I say control, I don't mean it's rigged. That's stupid, okay? But retail people like us make up a very small percentage of the stock market. We are not the ones that are moving the market. The market is moving because of institutional money, right? So when these large institutions sell, that's the first leg to drop. Now, the other thing that's happening is computer systems have what they call stop losses. So they say, all right, Google is at 100, but if it gets to 80, we have to sell automatically. It's not a human being, it's a computer. So when the unwind happened, the first drop was this, but then it hit the stop loss. That was the second leg to drop. and it exacerbates the move down, right? And the market keeps going down and down and down because they hit the stop loss, they had to sell even more. And then the last people are the normies, right? Which is the retail investor. Oh my God, they're conflating issues. The recession is here, and I don't want to lose all my gains. And I read a headline, not even the article. Buffett sold his Apple. I gotta get out, right? And then now you are selling at a low. You're down, and then you miss the recovery. Because what a lot of people did, the very next day, the market went up huge, right? So a lot of people invested in that low, and then they got a chance to make money on that recovery. Okay, let's go next. So I told my client on Monday, I said there should be a good bounce back after this when people realize it's not actually because of the economy. The market is not going down because of the economy. It's this other institutional unwind that has, and it's algorithmic and it's machines that are doing this. It's not because the economy's bad. I felt there was going to be a bounce back. I didn't think it would happen in a day. I just knew that it would bounce back because I know what's going on, right? Well, it did happen in a day, and we had the worst day and best day in 1 week. I said that, okay? So this is what I'm optimistic about, and I want you guys to know this, right? We are in a cutting cycle. So the Fed, since 2022, has been raising rates. Now we are going to start to lower rates. It's hard to believe we're going in a recession when the Fed is going to make monetary policy easier. Companies can borrow more, you guys can buy houses, the cost of the debt goes down. Does that make sense? Smaller companies can get more line of credit, and it creates more activity in the market, right? Companies have been reporting earnings and they have been strong. So yes, there's some companies that are saying the consumer's weakening. There's some companies like Uber and Amex, which is really a little bit of the higher end market, they're saying the consumer's fine. We see absolutely no change in the consumer. So it depends on what you're reading, right? Unemployment has been ticking higher, but it's still not bad. Yes, a lot of sectors and companies got expensive. So when people say that the market is going to drop, the reason why they say that, and the reason why people are nervous when the market is at an all-time high, they say that the market is expensive, right? So the reason why people say that the market is going to go down is because they feel that the market is overvalued. Well, if we have a big drop, guess what? And it wasn't just on Monday, it happened the week before too. The same thing you thought was expensive is now cheap. And what happens when things are cheap? Buyers come in, right? So I said that. So there will be buyers. Let's go next. All right. Rate cut, presidential election. You'll hear about this. What happens during rate cuts? Statistically speaking, they look back in history, anytime the Fed cuts rate, the 6-month and 12-month on a go-forward basis, you end up with a positive return. And it's double-digit on rate cuts. It's a double-digit positive return. Now, this says 6 months and 12 months. Did I say 1 day? Did I say 3 weeks? Did I say 1 month? No. Investing is long-term. You can't be so reactive. There's going to be a day where the negative people are right, the market goes down. 6-month and 12-month, history says we're going to be positive. Same thing with the presidential election, okay? 6 months and 12 months during and after election, you are going to make money. There's no statistic that says that you are going to lose. So, I mean, you have to speak about this stuff objectively, right? What's next? These are just things that signals of recession, okay? If there was going to be a recession, that means something is going on in the financial sector. There's something structurally that's wrong. But real estate stocks were up. That doesn't show that the economy is going down. For geopolitics, usually oil becomes very volatile. Oil was not volatile. These are things that we're looking at. Consumer-related companies are reporting good earnings. I talked about that, right? No credit shock. So sometimes you hear that a bunch of companies borrowed money, or people are borrowing money, or mortgages are bad, right? That's a credit shock. That you look for things like that to imply that there's going to be a recession. Here's the thing. If you guys think that this is boring or you have no idea, it doesn't matter. You just have to say it or send it. They don't understand it either, but what it makes it look like is that we know what we're talking about. I think my clients understand anything that I just said, or probably half of you guys? It doesn't matter, right? The other financial advisors doing the same thing. They're just sending the information to make people feel and understand that we are watching this stuff, right? And the banks are doing okay, all right? I won't go into that. Richard, you know what that means. All right. 94% of years in the market have a 5% drawdown. So you have to understand that. You have to tell people, like, look, a 5% down is very normal. It happens almost every single year. It doesn't mean the world is coming to an end. 64% of years have a 10% drawdown. Okay? So knowing that you are going to experience some of those ups and downs, do you have the American Funds link up? I don't know if it's going to work because it was a logged in, it was a link that required me to be logged in. I'm done in 2 minutes, guys. Hang on. Cool. Okay. So hi, this is what I told you to show your client. How far back? Let me go up a little bit, please. Right? How far back we want to go? 15 years? Look at this. The year to date is positive. The 1 year is positive. The 3 years positive. The 5 years positive. Right? The 10 years positive. The 15 year. On this entire page, there's one negative, which is this international fund. Even that, the 3 years -2. It's not like you've lost all your money, right? Again, international, that's what's struggling. World Cap also struggling, right? But the domestic funds, which we put the majority of people in, those are all up. So we are making money in every single time frame. It's not going to be every day. It's not going to be every week. I want to finish off with the 2 hypotheticals that I sent you, right? So my client, we had a meeting, and they said, look, we're going to be honest with you. We know someone who's a financial advisor. We were talking with him, and he said, hey, it may be a good time for you to go super conservative right now. This is Monday night, okay? And I said, okay. And this is the one client who kind of does stuff like this. They always test me. They say these things. They do these things. It's okay. They have 1.2 million with me, and they've never left, but they do like to challenge me once in a while, okay? I said, all right, so you want to go conservative. You understand that whoever this person is you're speaking to, you better do an analysis with them, because going really conservative when you're 62 years old and then you want to retire by 65 and you want to pull that money out and make it last until the end of your life, you know, you're going to need growth in order to make sure that you don't completely deplete your assets. So make sure that guy who you're talking to, that he does that analysis. And of course, at the end, they're like, no, we want you to do the analysis. But I want to show you. Okay? So withdrawing from equities. Let's say that you keep a healthy stock portfolio during retirement. Let's see what it looks like. This is 30 years. Let's start at the top. No, you went too far down. It'll say, yeah, this is it. Okay? So let's say you start out with 500 and you have a good equity portfolio. No, this is not. No, I think this is I sent you the wrong one, but let's look at this, okay? So over 30 years, you put in 500,000 once and then go back up, Thomas. Okay? So this is more like, this is a very conservative portfolio. You were able to withdraw $35,000 a year, which is $2,500 to $3,000 per year. Now, what do you notice about the withdrawals? Thomas, go up a little bit, please. It's not letting you scroll. Can you zoom out? I think that's the reason why. Okay. All right. So what are you noticing about the withdrawals? They're staying the same. Right? They're staying the same. Now, things are getting more expensive in your retirement, but your income is completely staying the same. Now, if we go down, right? Let's look at this. Over 30 years, you put in 500. This is a very conservative portfolio. You put in 500, Over the 30 years, you withdrew 1 million. Is that good? It's very good. It's very, very good. And you still have right around your principal left. You've averaged 6-7%. Not bad. But the problem is that your income pretty much stayed the same the entire time. Now let's look at the other link that I sent you. I probably mismatched them. Hopefully this is the right one. Okay. I sent you the wrong one. But what I was trying to illustrate was that when you put it in equities, their income was going to go up substantially. They put in 500, they were going to be able to withdraw 2 million, and they would still have 2 million left. So the difference between being conservative and just having a normal allocated portfolio, even in retirement, is going to substantially affect what type of retirement they're going to have. So just a little preview, man, the stuff that I'm talking about my clients with, what I read about, what I talk about. I'm always available to answer questions for your clients as well. If your clients have a question, my clients probably had that question, I'll tell you what I would have said. I'm more than happy to, send that stuff to you. All right, so those of you guys who qualify for movie night.